here I know I've got to have enough mud on there to cover that ugly paint. And see, that had spray texture on it too. That's why I'm covering this up, because we're going to be retexturing these walls and we want them all to look the same. Okay, so a good way to do that is to go ahead and skim over your entire wall, depending how big your project is and all, you know. Boy, okay, go that way. Sometimes with these smaller walls, you may have to go down this way because I'm right down to a corner bead, and if they didn't put enough mud on there, the wall's not perfectly flat, you know, from there down. And I could use my 12-inch. I got a 12-inch knife. I decided not to use that yet. I guess I could have for this little area. This seems to be working. It's going to give you practice as to how much mud to put on, how to hold it, to take it off, and all that. Okay, make sure when you skim you use all-purpose joint compound, or you can use what's called topping material, not the taping material, the topping material. So you could use either one. Okay, but I tend to just use the all-purpose, because then I can use it for taping and topping, since I don't do a whole lot of patches. Okay, guess that's all I'm going to do until my next coat. And then when I get ready to do the skim, I mean, I'm basically doing a skim coat right now. When I do the tight skim, I'll use my 12-inch for that, and it's going to cover really good. Let's just hit a little bit up there, man. See, you're just going to have to play with it, and once you get it to a certain point, you just have to kind of leave it. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it just like that. Now I can work around the window edge and all that, and I'll use just a small little knife for that. I've got just a little 3-inch knife right here, and I'm just going to coat this whole thing. You see, that's why I cleaned off all the edge around the window first, so I can get my blade in here nice and just have it go straight, because once it starts hitting something, it leaves all kinds of lines and stuff in there. Put it on like that. It's actually pretty fun to do this. You'll get good at it once you do it a few times. That's it. That's all I'm going to do on that edge. And I'm going to do the rest of the window the same way. I've got just a small edge, about 3/4 of an inch next to the cabinet. I'm just going to take my knife and put it just on the tip, on the left-hand tip. I'm going to use my knife there and just kind of see what I can do about making that a little bit smoother. Nice little light touch on that. Looks like they didn't put any corner bead on that one. They might have just used the tape edge because it's not going on very straight, but I can at least fill up any of the little voids and get that a little bit nicer. Okay. Resituate my mud in the pan, look at it, see how I'm going to hold it on the knife, and just put it on the tip, like that. Run it down there. Does it look like I'm doing anything major and it's that hard to do? No. And man, I like this. I like my trusty little light, my construction light. Don't leave home without that, please. Now, how did I get that so clean in here? I did that before I started my project, and usually what happens is you'll see a nice ugly caulking line there. You're going to see the excess overage of the caulking depending how well they installed the caulking originally. And most windows now are the white vinyl heavy duty type window material, and they look nice when they're nice and clean and tight edges and all that. When you see overage on there, I've already taken it off, by the way, as you can tell. But I used a stiff putty knife like this. I didn't have to worry about scratching this because I just wiped on there nice and easy. And I wipe this way. But if you get a knife that's not flexible enough, it might not take it all off. So I use a little bit stiffer one. And I went up this way and got most of it off. And then at the end, I went that way. And that got most of it off too. Now, if you don't have something like that, if you want to use a razor blade, you can use little razor blades like that with a little holder like that. I was going to use this one, by the way. This was like $3 at the hardware store. Okay? And because I didn't think I was going to be able to get it off with this nice and clean. Since I use this, I saved my $3, and I could buy a putty knife for $3, and I didn't need my razor blades. But because I have this, razor blades and a little holder come in nice and handy. If you don't have something like this in your toolbox, you got to get one. You never know when you're going to need it. Once you get that all nice and clean, now you can go along here with the wider putty knife, and it's nice and easy, you know, to put your sheetrock mud on there. That's a little pet peeve of mine. Remember that. I've got most of my major patches done, so now I'm going to drop back and do along the windows. Very simple to do. Because I cleaned off all the silicone and all the overage on sheetrock mud from before, I get a nice straight edge along the window frame. That's what you want, because we don't want to show that anyways. You know, when this gets all done, we'll put a fresh bead of caulking next to the window. Now the painter's going to do that, and he'll have to make the decision as to whether or not he's going to caulk it before he paints, or if he's going to caulk it last. There you go. Ready to be textured, I believe. Now when I get all done, I can lightly scrape off any bits of sheetrock mud later. Let that dry. Don't try to wipe that off now, because you may affect your wet mud that you have on there now. Just let that dry. You can flake it right off with a putty knife that way, straight up. However, be nice and easy, greasy